What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and you're watching my series Rapid Reviews. Rapid Reviews is where I put 60 seconds on a timer and then quickly tear through a song, EP, or an album. And tear through doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a super negative review. In fact, I'm going to positively review things here as well. 2018 was kind of hell for me in a lot of ways, and a lot of that had to do with me trying to keep up with literally everything that came out. So in 2019, I made myself a promise that I was going to listen to less music, so sometimes on this series, I will cover singles from an album, but not the album itself. I hope that you guys understand this is for my own mental health and well-being, and I think I'm still going to be able to cover a lot of things here. I've got more than 10 things to talk about today, so sit back, grab your bucket of popcorn, and let's get straight into it. Somebody give me 60 seconds on a clock, and somebody also drop a like on the video. Thanks. The MAINE announced their new album You Are Okay for the spring and dropped the lead single Numb Without You. This is a pretty solid track. It's one that definitely sees them going in a bit of a different direction, which definitely isn't a bad thing by any means, not inherently at least. I don't care for the auto-tune that's used on John O'Callaghan's voice during the bridge of the track, and I do like the guitars once they finally get going, but it seems like it takes them a while. It's like it stalls out, and then the chorus, the writing especially, just feels a bit bland, a bit limited, especially by the MAINE standards. Their past two albums have been nothing short of gold, and this new song, it just feels like it's lacking a bit of the punch and the spark, but I'll admit it's grown on me some. Overall, I'm going to rate this a 3.5. Wow, Post Malone is back. That's just fine and dandy. I enjoyed Beer Bongs and Bentleys, his album that dropped in 2018, but Wow just felt like a promise to fans that he had to keep to drop new music before the end of 2018, and he did it with a very lackluster tune. Wow is not the worst thing out there, but it sees Post, I guess, kind of having fun. I like that aspect, but also it really feels like he's not saying much at all and the track isn't going anywhere. And before you know it, 2 minutes and 25 seconds has passed by and the song is either starting again or else you're on to something new. So it doesn't leave much with me. It also doesn't leave me hating it. It just makes me hope that he does a little bit more in the future if he's got a new album on the way. This gets a 2.5 for Wow by Post Malone. I'm at this point with Switchfoot where I don't necessarily get hyped for new music, but I'm also probably going to check it out just because I was such a dedicated fan between the time of The Beautiful Letdown all the way through Vice Versus. Their stuff since then has kind of disappointed me. They've gone in poppier directions, and while their last album was pretty solid, I didn't come back to it very much outside of songs like Holy Water, and this new one here, the first 3 singles just didn't move me. I felt like they were pretty run-of-the-mill. Voices caught my ear a little bit more. I saw that Ryan Tedder and also Brent from One Republic worked on it, producing and writing, and you can hear that coming out in the music all throughout the album, not just on those songs. There's some really good tracks here, like the opener Let It Happen, and also Prodigal Soul. What a down-to-earth Switchfoot song if I've ever heard one. It's a mixed bag. It seems like every other track is back and forth, and I'm going to rate this a 3 out of 5. Yes, indeed, I am finally talking about the WEEZER singles from the upcoming Black album, Can't Knock the Hustle, and Zombie Bastards. I'm glad that I let these settle in because my opinions have shifted significantly. We'll talk about Zombie Bastards first because that song I really did not like at first. I found it to be so dime a dozen and mediocre and just kind of off-kilter, like there was no purpose to it, and I still feel like there's kind of like an apathetic glaze applied to it, but I don't know, it's kind of an earworm. It's worked its way in, and it seems apathetic, like the band are just standing there lifeless almost, but there is some color that comes through and some catchiness, some nice guitars in the background. Now, Can't Knock the Hustle, I like even more. In fact, I would say this one I've kind of done a 180 on. That funk heavy, the bass that comes through. It's just a very nice song, and to see Rivers Cuomo just being so weird like he is on social media, it comes through in a song. Overall, Zombie Bastards gets a 3, and Can't Knock the Hustle gets a 4. Walk the Moon are hitting the road for tour, and they needed a new song to really start a new era for them, and Time Bomb is that track. Now, I do feel like this one immediately kind of caught me off guard in the sense that it just doesn't sound like Nick Petrica in the first verse in particular. Once you move into the chorus, you start to hear his more typical sound, and it's not that the production overall is really glossifying things too much, because I feel like Walk the Moon have always kind of had that pop rock shine and definitely leaned more into alternative. This song, in fact, has some more guitars on it, more than I honestly expected before I hit play, and that is a nice quality. They're catchy, the hook definitely drives, but I still feel like there's something lacking. It feels like I've heard this song before, maybe if not from Walk the Moon, then from somebody else, and also Nick not quite sounding like himself. He's got a great voice, and I feel like it's processed a little bit too much here. Anyways, that's just my take, but overall for Time Bomb, I'm going with a strong 3. I really didn't think that I'd be talking about 21 Savage in a much more positive light, not so quickly at least, but when an artist makes improvements, I want to talk about that. And rapper 21 Savage has made some strides in both his flow and his overall sound, even his producers that he's working with. This is a solid project that features some great songs. You immediately get reeled in by the song A Lot, which is one of my favorites of the year so far. Lyrical depth, a lot of commentary, and I love the fact that even though there is a guest on that song, and on many on the record, he didn't officially credit them in the sense that he wanted to get the album out there and be successful on his own right and not just coast by on guest features. Now, there are some pacing issues with the album. At times it's sluggish, at times it's a bit immature. ASMR, for example, a track that I really don't like. It's inconsistent and spotty, but I will definitely take this over Issa Album, for example. This is a solid effort and improvement. I'm going to give this a strong 3, maybe even a light 3.5. British metalcore kings Architects are back with their Spotify Sessions single, 2 songs. Of course, we've got a live cover of Deftones' Change in the House of Flies, which I was incredibly stoked for when I got a notification that that was out, and also Death Is Not Defeat, the opening track from Holy Hell, one of my favorite albums and one of the best, I think, of 2018. This single is really solid. You can hear the passion that they're playing with live. They're playing at Abbey Road Studios, an iconic recording studio because of the Beatles and many other artists that have recorded there. And I was most excited for the Change cover because it's my favorite Deftones track, and they do add something new. I love the symphonic layer here. It's really kind of even more haunting in a different way. I'm not saying that it's better than the Deftones song at all, but still, I just loved the session. I thought that they packed a lot in there, and Sam Carter nailed the Deftones cover on vocals. Overall, this session gets a 4. Whoa, talk about a comeback. YUNGBLUD, you totally surprised me here because I really didn't like the album that came out last year, 21st Century Liability. There were a few good songs, but this new song, Loner, it definitely plays to more of an alternative rock, almost Britpop 90s type of vibe, a very British song, and I love that because UK music, 9 times out of 10 to me at least, it seems like it's better than American stuff. This new song, Loner, is so catchy. It kind of has these buzzing guitars, even a nice solo and breakdown at the end, and YUNGBLUD is just so convincing with his vocals and his overall personality here. He kind of has a rap rock cadence to him, but the approach that he takes and the catchiness of the hook and the melody of this song, it has me floating along, singing it back, and playing it over and over and over again. I'm so pleasantly surprised here. One of the best songs of 2019 so far. This gets a strong 4.5. Alice Merton is up next for discussion, the German-Canadian traveling singer-songwriter that quite literally has no roots. Her EP came out last year following the success of the track No Roots, which is overplayed but still a fantastic song, and this is an alternative project, I would say, an alternative in the traditional sense, not in the, oh, we're considering Halsey and whatever the hell else alternative. No Roots was a great song, but she follows it up with some even better tracks, I would say here. Lash Out is fantastic. That was on the EP, and I was really hoping that would be a hit. It's kind of crossed over, but we'll see. Time will tell. Learn to Live, the opening track, has a great guitar groove on it. I love the little breakdown there. Speak Your Mind, really, even though it's something that we've heard before, it's still a lot of fun. That's my one complaint with this album, is that it does touch on very similar subjects: love, loss, missing someone, but also it prods fun, and I love that. Why So Serious kind of takes that on head on. Funny Business is kind of cute as well. It's an overall very solid alternative album that I'm going to rate a very strong 3.5. Saving the toughest discussion for last, we have Mark Morton, the lead guitarist of Lamb of God, his upcoming solo project, and the single featuring the late Chester Bennington, formerly of Linkin Park. This was a song, the first time I heard it, I definitely welled up with tears. It was an emotional experience, and it's a fantastic song, everything that I could have wanted. So many people have been requesting that I talk about this, and I understand why. Thank you for being patient. It's a kind of heavy song, very heavy in fact, a lot heavier than what Linkin Park had been doing as of late when Chester passed. It's a song that has some menacing guitars on it, and we can't overlook Mark Morton here. It's going to be on his upcoming solo album, but Chester is just so incredible, whether it be the screams, the clean vocals, or even the rapping during the bridge where he talks about how his hate and all of the pain and how it fuels him. We miss you, Chester. It's a fantastic song, a glowing song in many ways, and it's a perfect 5 for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Rapid Reviews. If you want to check out any of the bands or artists mentioned in this video, then check the description down below along with the links for my social media. If you want to see the last episode of Rapid Reviews, then tap on the annotation on screen, or another recent review that I did is floating there as well. I'll see you guys very soon for more right here on ARTV.